Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. In peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And I'm going to start it off with Psalms chapter 17, verse 13. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And that wicked is speaking of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the border of wickedness in Malachi 1 verse 4, and the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9 verse 24. And if you read in Genesis 27, one of Esau's blessings was the sword, primarily his military prowess that he's used, to gain the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. His other blessing being in control of the planet, for a short amount of time, which is just about come to the ends of. And hey, Esau is getting ready to pull out all the stops to try to cling on to power to fulfill his NWO, his great reset. And that's going to involve, deleting a lot of you Americans out here, especially you Israelites in America, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And as we see, things have started off with the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latinos, especially with all these ICE raids that have been going on over the past year, where they've been getting, illegal immigrants, legal immigrants, citizens, and now, they're starting to come after the Southern Kingdom, or you so-called Negroes. And, even, I've heard that, so-called white people, Edomite Americans are getting hassled by ICE. But I opened up the video with this verse to preface this clip from Hawk's Podcasts /MDG 650 Hawk YouTube channel, which for the last, couple of weeks, I've been profiling a lot of his videos because he's just going in on exposing, the things going on with the Trump administration, which, Trump is just a figurehead, just like Kamala Harris would have been a figurehead if she would have been selected, just as Joe Biden was a figurehead. These politicians are nothing more than puppets, the face that the elites put forward to, take accountability off themselves and have them push their agenda. And when the subsequent blame and issues come from it, they get put on them. But regardless, everything we're seeing is an offshoot of what the elites want to take place. And as I read in Psalm 17 verse 13, King David was praying that the Lord would deliver him from the wicked, which is his sword. And as we'll see in this video titled, Why is ICE buying guided missiles for use inside America? Hey, that devil is about to come down in great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. As it says in Revelation 12 verse 12, Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe or destruction to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil, that deceiver, Esau, Edom, again, specifically the elites, is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Like I just said, these Edomites are at the end of their rulership, and the elites know it. They see the prophets out prophesying, and they see Israel waking up and calling back on their power, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And they know when those things take place, whatever heathen nation that's ruling at the time is going to be taken out of power. And they also know that they are the biblical Edomites and what their fate is when they're taken out of power. 1,000 years of hardcore bondage and slavery before them and their entire nation are taken out off the face of the earth. So that devil is getting ready to pull out all the stops to avert that. But this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. But let's see how Esau continues to sharpen that sword.
Happy Tuesday morning. I woke up to an interesting headline this morning, reading from an article on the newrepublic.com's website. They've increased their spending on weapons by 700%. And what they bought will terrify you. Donald Trump is arming his masked immigration agents with increasingly lethal weapons. These weapons are being purchased by ICE to be used against Americans and people in the United States of America.
And remember what Trump and the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said during that speech to those U.S. generals, a couple of weeks ago, that we're going to have to prepare for fighting the enemy within, and that the U.S. Streets should be used as training grounds for the military. And also, November 1st is looming with with the possibility of those SNAP benefits being cut off. And you've already got a bunch of people all over social media in an uproar about it, saying that if they don't get their benefits, they're going to start raiding those grocery stores. And then, one guy said at his Walmart, people were already, starting to raid the grocery stores. So, hey, with, ICE is weapons funding going up, National Guard getting deployed to different states across the country to fight so-called crime, and Trump's recent speech about the enemy within. Hey, with civil unrest looming, they're getting all the parts in play to keep a lockdown on everything.
Donald Trump is reportedly spending millions more on weapons for his masked militia descending on American cities, who will now have access to guided missiles and warheads. Independent journalist Judd Legum, Legum, reported Monday that between Trump's inauguration and October 18th, ICE has increased weapons spending by 700% compared to the same period last year. In the last 9 months, ICE has spent almost $72 million on purchases of small arms, ordnance, and ordnance accessories manufacturing. Ordnance means shit that blows up. Small arms include armor, explosives, chemical weapons, pistols, and rifles. Ordnance and ordnance accessories manufacturing refers to materials such as artillery, barrels, extractors, and mounts. For comparison, in 2019, ICE spent...
Remember, all the way back during Obama's, presidency, the Department of Homeland Security had bought around 240 million rounds of hollow point ammunition. Best believe that ammunition just didn't get destroyed. It's in a warehouse somewhere, ready to get used.
$5.7 million on small arms category. And now we're up to almost 72. While most of the spending was on guns and armor, the reporter reported that ICE has also purchased guided missile warheads and explosive components. So while Trump has backed off selling Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, it seems that he's more than happy to arm his immigration authorities with lethal projectiles. I read another article basically this morning that said
Nero 47 is that cruel lord and that fierce king set over you Egyptians or Americans. This is Isaiah 19 verse 4. And the Egyptians, the spiritual Egyptians, as pursuant to Revelation 11 verse 8, you Americans will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them. Nero 47, saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. Hey, increasing, the munitions for ICE, including guided missile warheads and other ordnances and munitions, calling for U.S. streets to be used as a training ground for the enemy within, etc., etc., labeling those on the left as equivalent to Al-Qaeda and ISIS and a theist organization.
ICE recruits are failing the physical fitness component of their training at alarming numbers, which, I guess that's what you get when you hire a bunch of J6ers and Oath Keepers. It's not immediately clear what part of a good faith deportation operation would involve localized destruction and murder. That's some quality writing right there. Sarcasm accepted. Clearly, Trump has plans to ramp up his federal immigration crackdown, which has gone hand in hand with his federal takeover of American cities.
Hey, and localized destruction and murder is exactly what's coming to the streets of America. There will be civil unrest. Back in Isaiah 19, I'm going to jump up to verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians, the Americans, against the Americans, and they shall fight, everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. Civil war. Americans, especially these Edomites from all walks of life, going against each other. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. And that modern day sword, especially in America, is the gun, which, as we just saw from that clip, hey, that sword is getting ramped up for Nero 47's private military, guided, missile warheads, other ordinances, armor, chemical weapons, you name it. And that one people going against another is, again, people from all walks of life fighting each other. Race wars, civil wars, troops versus citizens, whether they be domestic or foreign troops, citizens going against those in the government, class warfare, a free-for-all. For there shall be sedition among men. And sedition means conduct or speech inciting open rebellion against a ruling authority or monarch, which, talking about those clips of people, worried about those SNAP benefits getting cut off, that was some very seditious talk, saying, I don't care. I'm going to go and take what I want. And if anybody has anything to say about it, hey, come and try me. And then, what did you have last weekend? The No Kings protests in reference to Nero 47 and invading one another. And it's going to get to the point with all these different factors, food shortages, food insecurity, this cost of living crisis, economic collapses, more oppression from the government, to where people are going to go from throwing words at each other to throwing that lead at each other. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, these people in the government, nor the military that uphold the system. A badge or a uniform or suit and tie isn't going to mean a goddamn thing very shortly. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. What does that sound like? A state of martial law, due to a whole host of issues that could cause a societal, collapse. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed. And something that would be very easy at destroying houses is ordnances, explosive materials, especially guided missiles. Hey, organized, destruction and murder on the streets of America, and men shall be afraid. Straight to the point. And as I said, for because of their pride, these things are about to take place. The great pride and arrogance and godlessness you Americans have been walking in, especially towards, the Heavenly Father. Well, hey, the Lord is about to pull, make you pay for that tab, which you've been building up, not in FRNs, but in your own blood.
As with so many of these MAGA chuds on the right, the neckbeard patriots that post their little MAGA videos all the time. You remember their videos that they posted, that whole 4 or 5 day period after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, where they were screaming for war against us, just against people on the left. And I made a video back then, and I was like, just do it or shut the fuck up. I am so sick to death of hearing those guys squawk about how they want war and we're not prepared with what's coming and what they're gonna do to their fellow Americans. Like, what are you gonna do? You gonna meet them on Grindr? Because that seems to be their number one hobby. And it's just like, Trump is giving ICE guided missiles.
We'll end this clip on that note, but hey, it has been a lot of pump faking and selling wolf tickets on both sides. But according to biblical prophecy, it's going to get to a point where these Americans are going to lock horns and it's going to get physical. And this devil, the government is going to come, the government controlled by the elites, Nero 47, is going to come down in great wrath. And the main target is going to be you Israelites. Hence why when King David was prophesying, he was praying that the Lord would protect him, from his sword, Esau, which we're definitely going to need this protection because, it doesn't matter how trained you are, with martial arts, or how proficient you are with the weapon, or how much bullets and beans you have stored up. If you don't have Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai on your side, there's no way you're making it out of this thing. But now I'm going to go to Ezekiel chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 9. Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith Yahweh, say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he hath given it to be furbished that it may be handled. The sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. And we know who this slayer is. Again, that's pursuant to Psalm 17, verse 13. The wicked, Esau, Edom. And guided missiles and those other things Hulk was going into is a part of that sword that's getting ready to be given into the hand of this slayer to make that sore slaughter. Verse 12. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, smite therefore upon thy thigh. And what was ICE set up for? Immigration's customs enforcement, dealing with illegal immigrants, which that's code word for you Northern Kingdom, or you so-called Latinos of the Northern Kingdom. So with them getting those munitions, when you put two and two together, who do you think that, they would be used against? Northern Kingdom. But as we have a saying over here at GMS, Northern Kingdom gets it first, the Southern Kingdom gets it the worst. ICE has also been starting to attack, you Southern Kingdom, you so-called blacks, African Americans as well. And, a couple of months ago, Trump said, of course, we've got these illegal immigrant criminals, but hey, we've also got homemade or American-born criminals as well that we need to deal with. And also when he was talking to the president of El Salvador, he said, hey, I've got some home-born criminals to send to you. So all the tribes are about to feel, the wrath of this sword of the slayer, which is ultimately the wrath of the Lord for the disobedience 2/3 of our people have been walking in. And hey, the prophets have been warning you of these things for decades. And now, hey, it's going to come to a time to where there's going to be no more talking, and it's just going to be straight action out here. This is 2 Esdras chapter 16, verse 70. For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, you Israelites. And, while 2/3 of our people are wicked, as it says in Romans chapter 10, I believe, they have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. They still, believe in some form of a higher power. But, Esau's not going to differentiate from those that know they're Israelites and those that don't. Our entire nation is enemy number one to this devil. Verse 71, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And when you've got guided missiles being used on the streets of America, that is some madman type stuff. That's something, the majority of people would never expect to happen here. Well, that's something that happens over in Iraq or in Afghanistan, in a third world country. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses, which, as we see, has already been happening to, the Northern Kingdom, and where some of them been getting sent to, Alligator Alcatraz, or these other detention centers. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. And while, 2/3 of our people are going to get cut off, the 1/3 of the elect, that remnant, are about to have that standard set up for them, where Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is going to shield us, from, this devil coming down in great wrath. Even though we're going to be in the mixed of it, the Lord is going to guide us through it. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your guide. Hey, to you sincere Akim and Akwat out there, the miracles of Acts are about to take place again. But now I'm going to close it out in Isaiah 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. And where are the majority of the Israelites at? In the Western Hemisphere, over in America. And the elect are fearing the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh, in the son of his name, in the true name of his son, Yahweh Shai. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. Angels intervening on our behalf, some brothers getting spiritual powers, miracles taking place. So, though these are some dark times we're getting into, don't lose the faith. Hey, we believed in Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai this far, and to those that have been doing it in sincerity, the Lord is going to keep up his end of the bargain. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.